Welcome to my channel, Advanced Learners Studio.
Today's podcast, English Listening Practice podcast topic name is Traditional versus Modern Values. We're diving into something that, well, really shapes societies all over the world. It's this intricate dance between traditional ways and modern ideas.
It really is.
And it creates this fascinating mix of, opportunities, but also some pretty complex challenges that's constantly redefining things.
And I think our goal today for you listening isn't really to say one is better than the other.
Right.
It's more about understanding how we can maybe blend the best bits of both. Aiming for a future that feels, harmonious and meaningful, drawing strengths from all sides.
Okay, so let's lay the groundwork. When we talk about traditional values, what are we really talking about? What's the core idea?
Well, fundamentally, they're the beliefs, the customs, the practices that get passed down, often over generations. They're usually rooted pretty deep in cultural norms, sometimes religious beliefs, or just the way a society has always worked. The focus tends to be on continuity, keeping things going. Stability, exactly. And collective well-being, what's good for the group, and a real respect for established systems. And even though they look different everywhere, you find these common threads.
Like what? What are some common themes?
Well, a big one is family and community.
Yeah.
The family unit, often the extended family, is usually the cornerstone.
Right.
Group harmony often comes before what one individual might want. You see this really clearly in, say, South Asian cultures with filial piety kids honoring elders. Or think about multi-generational homes you find in places like rural India. It's very common.
That makes sense. And you mentioned respect for systems. Does that tie into authority?
It does, significantly. Respect for authority is central. Hierarchies are often quite important, whether it's elders, religious figures, community leaders. They're often revered for their wisdom, their experience. Think about tribal chiefs in many African societies, like the Ashanti of Ghana, who mediate disputes. Their word carries weight.
Got it.
Then you have the actual cultural and religious practices, rituals, ceremonies. These aren't just formalities. They actively preserve a group's identity.
Can you give an example?
Sure. The Japanese tea ceremony, it's incredibly meticulous, right? It embodies Zen principles like mindfulness, or indigenous Australian dreamtime storytelling, which connects people directly to their ancestral past, to their land.
Wow. Okay.
And finally, there are often strong moral and ethical codes, clear guidelines for how to behave. This builds trust, cohesion. Think of the 10 Commandments in Christianity, or Islam's focus on charity, zakat.
So it really paints a picture of traditional values as this kind of anchor, grounding people in heritage, giving purpose, stability.
That's a great way to put it, an anchor.
But I guess the flip side could be, does that very stability sometimes make it harder to adapt or change?
That's the inherent tension, isn't it?
Yeah.
That stability is invaluable, but yes, it can sometimes lead to a resistance to new ideas or different ways of doing things.
Okay, so if tradition is the anchor, then modern values, they feel more like the current, maybe dynamic, reflecting this globalized, tech-driven world we're in now. They seem to prioritize individual action, innovation, being adaptable, often pushing against those older norms. What defines them?
Yeah, modern values definitely push in new directions. Individualism is probably the most prominent feature.
Personal freedom.
Personal freedom, self-expression, the idea that you define your own path. Think about movements like feminism or LGBTQ plus rights. They're all about empowering individuals to shape their own identities. The global push for marriage equality is a really powerful example of that shift towards personal choice.
Right.
Then there's this constant drive for innovation and progress. Our modern world is built on it.
Technology, science.
Exactly. Technological advancements aimed at improving life. mRNA vaccines, electric cars, AI, renewable energy. It's all driven by this belief that change, advancement, is how we make things better.
Pushing boundaries, basically.
Spot on. And linked to that is diversity and inclusion. Actively promoting equality across different identities, race, gender, orientation, ability.
So things like affirmative action.
Affirmative action, global human rights campaigns, yeah. Trying to dismantle discriminatory structures. South Africa's post-apartheid constitution is a really strong example of building inclusivity into the foundation of a nation.
Okay.
And finally, inescapable today is global connectivity. The internet, social media, easy travel, it's all fostered this interconnected world. Platforms like, say, X allow ideas to cross borders instantly. It creates a much more cosmopolitan global perspective for many people.
It's undeniable that modern values fuel incredible change and progress, but I do wonder, does that intense focus on the individual and the constant push for what's new ever come at a cost? Like maybe weakening community ties or leaving people feeling a bit adrift, disconnected?
That's a really insightful point.
Yeah.
Yes, while they drive progress and open doors, that focus on the individual can sometimes lead to feelings of isolation, and the sheer speed of change can make it hard for people to feel grounded, perhaps losing touch with those community bonds tradition offers.
What's really striking is that this whole dynamic, this push and pull between tradition and modernity, it's not actually new, is it? It goes way back.
Yeah.
How did this evolution start?
You're right, it has deep historical roots. If you think about it, traditional values mostly grew out of agrarian society.
Farming community.
Yeah, where survival literally depended on everyone working together, following the established rules. Think ancient Mesopotamia. Communal irrigation systems required immense cooperation. Duty was paramount. Or feudal Europe with its rigid hierarchies, everyone knew their place, and that maintained order.
So the group's survival was everything.
Basically, yes.
Yeah.
The big shift towards what we now call modern values really started picking up steam with the Enlightenment back in the 17th, 18th centuries.
Reason, science.
Exactly. Thinkers like John Locke championed reason, individual rights, challenging the authority of monarchs in the church. That was a huge change.
And then came the Industrial Revolution.
That just accelerated everything dramatically. 18th, 19th centuries, people moved to cities, machines changed work. It broke down a lot of those old rural traditions, weakened extended families, and really fueled individualism.
Right.
And then the 20th century, world wars, decolonization, the rise of mass media, people were suddenly exposed to so many different ideas. And then, of course, the digital age kicked in late in the century, and cultural boundaries just started blurring like never before with instant global communication.
It's amazing to think how that history plays out right now. You could have, say, a young person in Brazil streaming K-pop music on their phone, while also getting ready to take part in traditional carnival celebrations in their town. And maybe they're also active online advocating for climate action.
That's a perfect illustration. All those layers coexisting in one person's life. It really shows how fused these things have become.
Okay, let's dig into the strengths. Even in our super fast modern world, traditional values still offer some real benefits, don't they?
Oh, absolutely. They have enduring strengths. A major one is stability and security.
That anchor idea again.
Exactly. Traditions provide a kind of predictable framework. And that's incredibly comforting, especially when things feel uncertain or chaotic, like during a crisis. Think about religious rituals, Ramadan, Christmas. They offer continuity, bring people together year after year. Or in Japan, the Obon festival honoring ancestors reinforces those family bonds and a sense of shared history.
And what about the wider community?
That's another huge strength. Community cohesion. Traditional values are often fantastic at fostering strong social bonds.
A sense of belonging.
A real sense of belonging. In many African cultures, communal living creates these incredibly tight-knit support systems. You know the Zulu concept of Ubuntu?
I am because we are.
That's the one. It beautifully sums up that emphasis on collective identity, making sure people feel supported, connected. You also get clear moral guidance. Traditional ethical codes offer clarity on right and wrong. Buddhism's Eightfold Path, for instance, promotes ethical conduct. Islam's emphasis on zakat, charity, encourages looking out for others. These guidelines can simplify complex moral questions and build social trust.
Makes sense.
And, of course, cultural preservation. Traditions are how we safeguard heritage. Think of the Maori in New Zealand preserving their language, their haka dance, despite colonial pressures. Or Native American powwows celebrating identity through dance, music, storytelling, keeping ancient traditions alive and vibrant.
It's clear they offer so much in terms of stability and identity, but as we touched on, that strength can also mean rigidity, can it? Like, strict gender roles in some traditional contexts might really limit opportunities, especially for women, clashing directly with modern ideas about equality that must create friction.
It absolutely does. That's often where the sharpest conflicts arise.
Yeah.
The very things that provide strength can also become points of tension or barriers to change.
Okay, let's flip the coin again. What about the advantages of modern values? What unique benefits do they bring to the table? Maybe things that tradition finds harder to deliver?
Modern values definitely offer some unique and powerful advantages. First off, personal empowerment.
Choosing your own path.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Prioritizing individual choice allows people to pursue passions, define their own lives. Think about the rise of women in top leadership roles, people like Angela Merkel or Indra Nooyi. That reflects this shift. Or even the gig economy, offering flexible careers tailored to individual skills and lifestyles.
Right.
Second, and this is huge, innovation and progress. This is where modern values really shine. That constant drive for improvement transforms lives.
Technology again.
Technology, science, medicine. Breakthroughs like CRISPR gene editing, renewable energy like solar panels, the incredibly fast development of COVID-19 vaccines. These are all products of modern values pushing the boundaries of what's possible for human well-being.
We'll focus on improving the human condition then.
Spot on. Third, inclusivity. Modern values actively challenge discrimination and push for equality.
Fighting unfairness.
Yes, movements like Black Lives Matter or global pride events demand justice and fairness. Policies like universal parental leave, like you see in Scandinavia, reflect a deep societal commitment to making sure everyone feels they belong and have equal opportunity.
Okay.
And lastly, adaptability. Modern values encourage being flexible, responding to new opportunities. Big remote work, the digital nomad lifestyle, online learning platforms like Coursera or Upwork, they all show how we can adapt to a rapidly changing world, learn new skills, find new ways to live and work.
It's clear modern values are powerful engines for change. But, coming back to that earlier point, that strong focus on the individual, it can lead to isolation sometimes, maybe weaken those family or community ties. And the constant, relentless change can leave people feeling a bit unmoored, maybe even longing for the stability that tradition provides. It feels like both sides have potential blind spots.
That's a very balanced way to see it. Each system offers something vital, something essential, but neither is perfect. They each present their own set of challenges alongside their strengths.
And this is where it gets really juicy, doesn't it? The clash, where these two sets of values meet head-on. It often sparks conflict, tension, creating some really fascinating dynamics in societies all over the world. Where do we see this friction most clearly?
Oh, it pops up everywhere, often in the most personal areas of life. Take family dynamics, that's a big one.
Marriage, for example?
Exactly. In many traditional cultures, you have arranged marriages designed to prioritize family unity, social status, maybe economic stability. You see this in parts of India, for instance. But modern values stress romantic love, individual choice. So you get this real tension, especially between generations. A young person might feel immense family pressure, but desire to choose their own partner based on love.
I can imagine. What about work?
Workplace culture is another hotspot. Traditional workplaces often value hierarchy, seniority, lifetime loyalty. Think of the classic salaryman culture in Japan.
Right.
But modern workplaces, they tend to prioritize flexibility, skills over tenure, career mobility. Younger generations especially might seek better work-life balance or the freedom of remote work, clashing with those older expectations.
And technology must amplify these clashes, surely.
Oh, massively. Technology and tradition often collide. Social media is a prime example. It challenges traditional ideas about privacy, how you present yourself. In more conservative societies, you might see women using platforms like X to advocate for greater rights, which can lead to significant backlash from those holding traditional views.
Okay.
Then there's education. You have the contrast between traditional methods, maybe rote learning, immense respect for the teacher's authority, like China's intense Gaokao exam system, versus modern education, which tends to prioritize critical thinking, creativity, questioning things. Students often have to navigate both systems, which can be confusing.
Yeah.
And finally, a really sensitive area, gender and identity. Traditional gender roles are often quite fixed, specific expectations for men and women. Modern values champion gender equality, fluidity, the right to define your own identity. So you see clashes like traditional expectations of masculinity in some African cultures bumping up against advocacy for gender-neutral policies. These are deep societal shifts playing out.
It really highlights the challenge, doesn't it? Trying to balance that need for continuity with the drive for change. Lean too hard on tradition, you might stifle progress. But embrace modernity too fiercely, and you risk eroding valuable heritage and identity. It's a real tightrope walk.
It really is. And maybe the insight here is that the conflict isn't always just old versus new. Sometimes it's about different ways of trying to meet the same basic human needs, security, belonging, progress.
Yeah.
The tension flares up when the methods seem incompatible.
That's a great point. It makes it less about a battle and more about navigating different paths. Okay, let's make this concrete. It's fascinating to see how different societies are actually doing this navigating. Let's look at some specific global examples or case studies to see tradition and modernity in action. How are different cultures handling this blend?
Great idea. Let's start with Japan's balancing act. Japan is often seen as a masterclass in this.
Well, so?
Well, they meticulously preserve ancient traditions. Shinto rituals, the tea ceremony, sumo wrestling alongside being a global leader in cutting-edge technology. Think Sony, Toyota.
Right.
There's even a cultural concept, teipmei, public face, versus hana, true feelings, which reflects navigating social harmony and individual expression. Walk through Tokyo, you see the hypermodern Shibuya crossing right near the serene ancient Meiji shrine, or the traditional Hanami cherry blossom viewing parties happening while bullet trains zip by. It's a constant coexistence.
Fascinating. What about indigenous communities? They face unique pressures.
Indeed. Consider indigenous communities in Canada like the Cree or the Haida. They face immense challenges, preserving traditional values, storytelling, land stewardship amidst modern Canadian society.
But they are adapting.
Yes, powerfully. Younger generations are using modern tools like social media to advocate for Indigenous rights, language revitalization, and cultural continuity. Canada's Truth and Reconciliation Commission itself is a modern framework trying to address historical injustices while respecting traditional values of healing and community. You even see traditional Haida art, like totem poles, gaining global recognition through modern art platforms, bridging worlds.
That's a really hopeful example of fusion.
Moving across the globe, think about urbanization in Nigeria. Cities like Lagos are exploding with growth, showcasing this traditional modern split vividly.
How does it manifest there?
You have young professionals embracing very modern lifestyles, working in tech, finance, global industries. Yet they often maintain strong connections to traditional practices, like Yoruba naming ceremonies or elaborate Igbo masquerade festivals when they visit their home villages.
So a dual existence.
Very much so. And this duality often sparks debate, especially around things like gender roles. Women pursuing modern careers in Lagos might still face traditional expectations back home, creating complex negotiations in their lives.
And India, such a huge, diverse country, must be a real crossroads.
India's cultural crossroads is incredibly complex and dynamic. You have rural areas where caste traditions and joint family systems remain very influential.
Right.
Contrast that with booming urban centers like Bangalore, hubs of tech and modernity. Young Indians are often navigating both worlds, maybe balancing family expectations around arranged marriage, while also using modern dating apps. They participate enthusiastically in ancient festivals like Diwali. They're also deeply engaged with global music, fashion, and media. Bollywood cinema itself is a perfect example of this fusion traditional epic stories told with dazzling modern production values.
That blend seems key. And finally, a place that's almost synonymous with rapid modernization.
Right, the UAE's global ambition. The United Arab Emirates, especially Dubai, consciously blends the two. You have the almost futuristic skyline with the Burj Khalifa, coexisting with traditional souks, the bustling old markets, and deeply embedded Islamic practices, like observing Ramadan. You'll see Emiratis wearing traditional dress, the abaya or kandura, while fully embracing the latest global fashion trends and technology. Their national strategy, like Vision 2021, explicitly aimed to integrate traditional Emirati values like hospitality with modern goals like sustainability and becoming a global innovation hub. Projects like Masdar City, designed as a sustainable eco-city, embody this planned fusion.
It really seems the societies that manage to thrive are those finding ways to weave these threads together rather than letting one dominate. So, how is this balance actually achieved on the ground? What does it look like?
It happens in many ways, often quite organically, sometimes by design. We see a lot of cultural fusion. Think of Singapore again.
The hawker centers.
Exactly. Those traditional food centers are beloved national institutions, sitting right alongside gleaming skyscrapers. They celebrate traditional festivals like Chinese New Year with ancient rituals, but the nation is also a hypermodern global finance hub. It's integrated.
What about in education?
Education is another key area. Many modern systems are finding ways to incorporate traditional values. Finland, known for its modern creative approach.
Right, very progressive.
Still fosters deep respect for teachers, which is a more traditional value. In India, the prestigious IITs, Indian Institutes of Technology, combine incredibly rigorous, modern technical training with instilling cultural values like discipline and community responsibility in their students.
Interesting. And does this apply to bigger challenges like environmental issues?
Absolutely. Sustainable progress often involves blending old and new. Many environmental movements draw inspiration from traditional concepts of stewardship, of living in balance with nature.
Like indigenous knowledge.
Precisely. Indigenous communities in the Amazon, for example, are combining generations of ecological knowledge with modern conservation science and technology to protect the rainforest. The whole global push for sustainability, in a way, blends a traditional respect for the natural world with modern innovation needed to solve the crisis. And maybe most importantly, it happens through intergenerational dialogue. Families and communities that talk openly, bridging the gap between younger generations embracing change and older generations holding on to tradition. Think of Mexico. Younger people might live very modern lives, but still participate wholeheartedly in Dia de los Muertos, honoring ancestors. It shows traditions aren't static. They can evolve and find new meaning.
It really underscores that finding this balance isn't easy. It takes real effort, compromise, empathy, respecting where you came from while still looking forward, not letting either side completely take over. Now, technology, we've touched on it, but let's focus specifically on its role. It feels like such a powerful catalyst in this whole traditional modern dynamic, but maybe in complicated ways.
It's definitely a double-edged sword, a huge catalyst, as you say. On one hand, technology massively accelerates modern values.
How so?
By connecting people instantly across cultures, spreading ideas, enabling innovation at lightning speed. Think about activists using social media like women in Iran, using platforms like X to organize, advocate for rights, and reach a global audience almost overnight. That reflects modern values of free expression and equality, amplified by tech.
Right, but I've also heard the argument that tech can help preserve tradition. That seems counterintuitive. How does that work?
It's a really crucial point, actually. Technology is becoming a vital tool for preserving tradition. Think about digital archives. They're being used to save endangered languages, like the Cherokee syllabary, documenting them, creating learning tools, giving them a future. Or virtual reality. We can now recreate historical sites like Machu Picchu with incredible detail, making heritage accessible to people who could never visit physically. And online platforms allow diaspora communities, people living far from their homeland, to maintain cultural connections. Imagine virtual Diwali celebrations connecting Indian families scattered across the globe. It keeps traditions alive across distance.
So it's not just about the new, it can reinforce the old too.
Exactly. But there's the other edge of the sword. Technology can also significantly disrupt traditions.
Oh.
When modern media and ideas flood into previously isolated communities via the internet or satellite TV, they can rapidly challenge local customs, beliefs, ways of life. Sometimes this leads to cultural erosion, where traditional practices fade away. A classic example often cited is Bhutan. When they introduced television relatively late, in 1999, it sparked huge debates about the impact of Western shows and values on their deeply ingrained Buddhist culture and traditions. It shows how disruptive that influx can be.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? How do we harness all the incredible benefits of technology without letting it overwhelm or erase valuable cultural norms and traditions? It's a huge question for nearly every society today. And it's vital to remember this isn't a one-size-fits-all situation. The way this traditional modern dynamic plays out varies massively depending on the culture, the history, the specific context. We can't just paint it with one brush.
That's absolutely critical. Take collectivist societies, places like China or India. Traditional values, especially around family loyalty and community harmony, often remain incredibly strong, even amidst rapid modernization.
So they coexist.
They often coexist in complex ways. Young people in China might deeply respect Confucian principles of filial piety while also working in hypermodern tech hubs like Shenzhen. In India, as we mentioned, arranged marriages persist alongside the use of modern dating apps. It's not necessarily either.
Okay, and then the contrast.
Contrast that with primarily individualist societies like the US or many Western European nations. Here, modern values, individual freedom, self-expression tend to be dominant. But even here you see interesting trends. There's a growing interest in rediscovering traditions or finding meaning in practices rooted in them.
Like mindfulness.
Mindfulness is a perfect example. It's rooted in ancient Buddhist traditions, but has exploded in popularity in the West as a way to cope with the stresses of modern individualistic life. It shows a search for something perhaps missing. And then you have post-colonial societies across much of Africa, Latin America, parts of Asia. The legacy of colonialism adds another layer of complexity.
How so?
Well, colonial powers often impose their own modern values while suppressing traditional ones. So, after independence, there's often a complex process of reclaiming traditional identity while also engaging with the modern globalized world. South Africa's efforts to promote modern inclusivity while also recognizing traditional tribal leadership systems is one example. Or in Brazil, Afro-Brazilian religions like Candomblé blend African spiritual traditions with elements absorbed over centuries, creating vibrant, unique hybrid cultural forms that are both traditional and modern.
It really shows the diversity of experiences.
And what's fascinating now with globalization is this constant cross-pollination. Yoga from India is global. Democratic ideals spread and reshape traditional hierarchies. It's a constant exchange, influencing both sides.
So looking ahead, where does this leave us? How will this interplay continue to shape our world, especially with huge challenges on the horizon?
Well, it's clear this dynamic isn't going away. If anything, it might intensify. Big challenges like climate change, the rise of AI, massive demographic shifts, these will demand incredible adaptability, leaning into modern values of innovation and flexibility.
But tradition doesn't just vanish.
Not at all. Because at the same time, in a world that feels increasingly complex and uncertain, that fundamental human need for identity, for belonging, for meaning that often draws us back to tradition, to our roots. So the core tension remains.
What about the younger generations, Gen Z, Gen Alpha? They're growing up completely immersed in this digital, globalized world. How might they navigate this differently?
That's a key question. They are unique. Raised digitally, yes, but many also express a deep craving for authenticity, for purpose, for connection, things often associated with tradition.
So they might blend them more naturally.
Potentially, yes. We see them blending traditional practices, maybe prioritizing sustainable living, community gardening, things rooted in older ways of life with very modern tools, like using social media for activism. Think about movements like #FridaysForFuture. It combines collective, community-based action, which feels quite traditional, with sophisticated global networking and communication, which is purely modern.
So what kind of future trends might we see emerging from this?
We could see more deliberate hybrid cultures. Think about planned projects like Saudi Arabia's Neom City. The vision, at least, is to integrate traditional architectural wisdom, respect for the desert environment, with absolutely cutting-edge sustainable technology.
Interesting.
We'll likely see ongoing cultural revival, too.
Yeah.
Indigenous movements worldwide are using modern platforms, websites, apps, social media to teach languages, share stories, preserve traditions, ensuring they don't just survive, but thrive in the digital age, like Aboriginal language revitalization efforts in Australia.
Using the new to save the old.
Precisely. And perhaps, optimistically, we might see the slow emergence of a more global ethics. Not erasing cultural differences, but finding common ground, a shared framework that blends timeless traditional virtues like compassion, wisdom, and community care with modern principles like human rights, inclusivity, and scientific reason. A way to navigate global challenges together. Ultimately, I think the real task, the ongoing challenge for all of us, individuals and societies, is to consciously create a future that genuinely honors the wisdom of the past while also enthusiastically embracing the potential of innovation, to build a world that feels both deeply rooted and dynamically forward-looking.
What a fascinating exploration. I think if there's one core message to take away from this deep dive, it's that this really isn't about choosing sides, is it? Tradition or modernity?
Not at all.
Maybe the real insight is that harmony isn't just about finding a middle ground, but about actively using the strengths of both, anchoring our growth, our progress in the wisdom and stability of tradition, while infusing those traditions with the energy, the adaptability, the inclusivity that modernity offers.
Well said. Tradition gives us that stability, that community, that sense of who we are. Modernity drives the innovation, the progress, the ability to adapt and include everyone.
And you, listening, you as an individual and we as societies, we actually have the agency, the power to consciously shape that balance, to decide how we blend the best of both worlds in our own lives and communities.
That's the empowering part. It's an ongoing process, and we all play a role.
So the question to ponder is, as individuals and as part of society, how can you weave tradition and modernity together into your own unique, vibrant tapestry? We really hope this deep dive has given you some fresh perspectives to think about.
We hope so too.
And if it has, please remember to like this video, share it with others who might find it interesting, and subscribe to the Learn English Lab YouTube channel for more deep dives like this one.
Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're jumping into something really fascinating based on your sources. The interplay between traditional and modern values.
Yeah, it's a constant dance, isn't it?
Totally. We've looked through everything you sent over the research, the stories, to really explore how these big forces, tradition and modernity, Well, how they actually interact.
Right, how they clash sometimes, how they
Yeah.
blend other times.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And what it all means for, our daily lives and maybe the future you're trying to build.
And our goal here really is to help you navigate that. It's a complex balance, for sure.
Hmm.
We want to kind of pull back the curtain on the surprising ways the old and new coexist, how they evolve together, sometimes how they spark something totally new.
Giving you insights, hopefully, to find your own equilibrium in all this change.
Precisely, finding your balance.
Okay, let's unpack this a bit. Because tradition and modernity, they aren't just like abstract concepts in a textbook, are they?
Not at all. They're living forces. They shape our routines, our families, our communities.
Our identities, even.
Definitely. And often, the first place we really feel that push and pull, it's the family.
Right, the family unit. That's ground zero for so much of this.
Absolutely. Think about something, well, seemingly simple, like the dinner table.
Okay.
In so many cultures, it's sacred. That Sunday lunch in Italy, maybe, or big holiday meals elsewhere, it's tradition.
It's more than just eating.
Way more. It's connection, stories, passing things down. But then modern life hits. Busy schedules, families spread across the globe.
Makes sitting down together really tough, sometimes impossible.
Exactly. But what's fascinating, what's really key here, isn't just that families find new ways, but why they bother,
Ah, interesting point.
Whether it's having dinner over Zoom, sharing grandma's recipe on WhatsApp, or trying to cook together on a video call, it shows how tradition changes. It adapts.
So the core need for connection finds a new way.
Precisely. It finds these new resilient paths. It doesn't just disappear because of technology or distance.
That idea of resilience is powerful. It's not just adapting for convenience, it's deeper. And you see this with parenting too, right? That blend of old and new.
Oh, definitely.
We often talk about the clash of, traditional obedience versus modern emotional intelligence focus. What's something maybe surprising you've seen come out of that blend?
Well, you're right about the classic contrast. Traditional often meant, clear rules, respect the elders, a bit hierarchical. Modern parenting tends to champion open communication, EQ, self-expression.
Right.
The surprising thing, and it's actually quite hopeful, I think, is that many families aren't just picking one side.
They're mixing them.
They're actively synthesizing them. They're teaching kids deep respect for their heritage, for elders, while also empowering them to ask tough questions, talk about their feelings, find their own voice.
So it's like cultivating both roots and wings.
Exactly. That's a great way to put it. Deep roots, strong wings.
And this dance, this blending, it's not just happening inside our homes, is it? Where else do we see these kinds of vibrant fusions really capturing a community's spirit?
Festivals are just beautiful examples, really visible ones.
Okay, like what?
Well, take Diwali in the digital age. Such a vibrant celebration, light, hope, family. The core is still there. The lights, the sweets, getting together with family, whether you're in India or, anywhere else in the world.
But it looks different now.
It can look different. People send digital greetings, maybe join a virtual puja with relatives overseas, share photos and videos all over social media.
Right.
And again, it's not just convenience. It shows how tradition can morph, how it uses new tools to stay alive and relevant, especially for younger, globally scattered generations.
It extends its reach almost.
Exactly. It proves tradition thrives through resilience, through reinvention, not just rigidity.
Yeah, I get that. And, here in the U.S., Thanksgiving is similar. It's got deep traditional roots. But how people celebrate now, it evolves. Well, you might have friends from totally different backgrounds at the table now, not just family. People serve vegan options, maybe fusion dishes next to the turkey, or use the day to volunteer.
So the spirit of gratitude remains, but the form adapts.
Precisely. It keeps the core idea alive in a changing world.
And language. Language is another amazing example. It carries so much tradition, but it's also how we navigate the modern world every single day.
How does that play out?
Think about immigrant families. You often see bilingualism and code switching.
Mixing languages.
Yeah, kids moving fluidly between their heritage language at home and, say, English at school or with friends, sometimes in the same sentence.
Creating their own unique blend.
It's like a linguistic bridge they're building in real time. It reflects that complex, layered identity perfectly.
And it's not just mixing, is it? Technology is actually helping preserve languages, too.
Oh, massively. Digital language preservation is huge.
Yeah.
Think about endangered languages, Maori in New Zealand, Hawaiian. They're seeing incredible revivals. Through apps, YouTube channels teaching the language, online courses, people are using modern tools to reclaim something ancient.
So it's not just saving words.
No, it's about reclaiming identity, memory, culture itself. It's profound.
Okay, so we've seen some really beautiful ways tradition and modernity can blend, even strengthen each other. But let's be real, it's not always smooth sailing, is it?
Definitely not. Sometimes they don't blend, they collide hard, creating real points of tension.
Where do you see those clashes most sharply?
Often it's in our most personal choices, our relationships.
Right, like marriage.
Exactly. In many parts of the world, like South Asia, the whole arranged versus love marriage debate is a prime example.
Still a major thing.
Very much so. Arranged marriages have deep roots, community, family legacy, practicalities, but younger generations, influenced by global ideas of, individual choice, romance.
They want to choose their own partners.
Increasingly, yes. And that can lead to some really difficult, sometimes heartbreaking family conflicts.
That's tough. Is there any middle ground emerging?
Sometimes. Some families are trying to find a balance. Maybe they arrange introductions, but the final decision, that's left to the couple. It's an attempt to respect both sides.
And what about marriages across cultures or faiths? That must challenge tradition, too.
Hugely. As the world gets smaller, intercultural and interfaith marriages are way more common. They definitely push against traditional expectations of marrying within the group.
But they also create something new.
Absolutely. Incredible opportunities for new, blended traditions, richer families, and frankly, a deeper understanding between different worldviews.
Another huge area of tension seems to be around gender.
Oh, undeniably. Gender roles and identity. Historically, many traditions had pretty rigid roles, right? Men as providers, women as caregivers.
Often limiting choices.
Often, yes. But modern values, they strongly push for equality, choice, self-definition, regardless of gender.
And that creates friction.
It certainly can, significant tension, but it's also driving incredible progress. More women in leadership, men taking more active parenting roles, wider acceptance, though still evolving, of LGBTQ+ identities. It's a fundamental shift.
And this tension isn't just about big roles. It can be about very personal things, like how we dress.
Absolutely. That clash between traditional ideas of modesty and modern fashion is fascinating.
How does that play out?
Well, you might see young people wanting to express themselves with contemporary styles, which can sometimes push the boundaries of what's traditionally seen as proper.
It's seen as rebellious, maybe.
By some, yes, or disrespectful. But often what's really happening is a creative negotiation. They might mix traditional fabrics with modern silhouettes, or wear traditional outfits for special events, but embrace modern styles day to day.
Finding their own way to honor both.
Exactly, a way to navigate personal identity within their cultural context. It's nuanced.
Let's talk about work. The world of work feels like it's undergoing a massive transformation.
Seismic, really. Think about job security versus flexibility.
The old model versus the new.
Right. Traditionally, loyalty to one company, climbing the ladder steadily, that was the ideal. Job for life, almost.
And now?
Now. Flexibility, entrepreneurship, work-life balance, those are often the priorities. Driven by the gig economy, remote work. It's a completely different mindset about what a good career even means.
A fundamental reevaluation.
Totally. And it affects workplace culture, too. Think about respect for authority versus flat hierarchies.
Seniority versus ideas.
Sort of. Traditional places often value seniority, clear hierarchies. Modern workplaces, they're increasingly about open communication, ideas coming from anywhere, flatter structures.
Challenging the old deference model.
Yeah, it's a shift from valuing only experience based on rank to valuing ideas and contributions no matter where they come from.
Okay, so we've seen the blends, we've seen the clashes, but now, here's where it gets really interesting, I think. When tradition and modernity actively work together, when they fuse thoughtfully.
Yes, the power of fusion. It can create something really potent.
Like in education.
Education is a fantastic example. Look at Finland. Their system is super modern, student-centered, innovative.
World-renowned, yeah.
But they consciously hold on to traditional values like deep respect for teachers, strong community involvement. It's not either-or.
Interesting. Any other examples?
India's IITs, the Institutes of Technology, global powerhouses in tech and engineering.
Right.
They offer cutting-edge, modern technical training. But they also instill traditional values like discipline, respect for mentors, a sense of community service. It's a powerful combination.
And technology is making education itself blend
Yeah.
old and new, right, with online learning.
Absolutely. Platforms like Coursera or Khan Academy, they're making modern education incredibly accessible globally, breaking down barriers. But look closer, they often include courses on traditional knowledge too. Philosophy, ethics, cultural studies. It's not just STEM. Digital access doesn't have to mean losing foundational wisdom.
It seems technology itself is a major player in this whole dynamic.
Huge. It's emerged as this incredible bridge in so many ways, especially for preserving culture.
How so?
Think about YouTube. People are learning traditional cooking skills passed down for generations. Or TikTok. You see folk dances being shared, even revitalized.
Seriously, TikTok for folk dance.
Yeah. And Instagram is showcasing traditional crafts, connecting artisans directly with people who appreciate their work worldwide. It's democratizing heritage.
That's amazing. And for communities spread out across the world.
Virtual communities are thriving. Diasporic groups use tech for virtual religious services, online language classes, keeping those connections to their roots alive, even across continents.
Maintaining identity despite distance.
Exactly. And think about sustainable innovation.
What's that?
It's where deep indigenous knowledge built over centuries of living with nature is combined with modern science.
To tackle big problems.
Like climate change, yeah.
Yeah.
Using traditional farming techniques enhanced with modern irrigation or incorporating ancient fire management practices into conservation, it's holistic, best of both worlds.
And in business, are we seeing fusion there too?
Definitely.
Yeah.
You've got artisans selling traditional products to modern markets.
Like on Etsy or Amazon?
Precisely. Those beautiful Moroccan rugs, Indian block prints, African jewelry, reaching global customers. It empowers communities, keeps skills alive.
That's fantastic.
And then there are social enterprises, startups consciously blending traditional values community, social good with modern business models.
So things like fair trade, ethical sourcing.
Exactly. Environmental sustainability, too. Proving that you can run a successful business and make a positive impact. Profit and purpose together.
Okay, let's zoom out a bit. How does this look in different parts of the world? Different countries must have their own unique ways of handling this balance.
Oh, absolutely. Every place has its own flavor. Take Japan.
Okay.
It's a masterclass in harmony, in contrast. You see ancient temples right next to gleaming, futuristic skyscrapers.
Yeah, that contrast is striking.
And they celebrate traditional festivals, but often incorporate modern tech, like light shows or projections. It embodies that deep sense of harmony, finding balance even amidst contrasts.
What about somewhere like Nigeria?
Nigeria often shows this dynamic of urban modernity, rural tradition.
How does that work?
You'll have young professionals in big cities like Lagos living very modern, globalized lives, but they often maintain really strong ties to their home villages.
Going back for ceremonies.
Exactly. Festivals, family events, rites of passage. It's a kind of dual identity. A woman might be a high-powered executive in the city, but back home, she might navigate more traditional expectations. It's complex.
Fascinating. And Canada, you mentioned Indigenous revival earlier.
Right. In Canada, there's a powerful Indigenous revival underway.
Right.
Communities are actively using modern tools, legal frameworks, technology, media to revitalize languages, art, governance systems that were suppressed for so long.
Like the Truth and Reconciliation Commission.
Exactly. That's a modern process aimed at addressing the horrific legacy of residential schools, but it deliberately draws on traditional Indigenous values, healing, community, listening, restorative justice. It's a really potent and often painful fusion.
What about the Gulf region, like the UAE?
The UAE presents this compelling vision for the future. They're building these incredibly futuristic cities, Dubai, Abu Dhabi.
Pushing boundaries.
Totally. But at the same time, they're investing significantly in preserving traditional souks, crafts, Islamic values. Their whole strategy is about blending traditional hospitality and family focus with this intense drive for innovation.
Finding their own path.
Yes. And then you have somewhere like Brazil. Just an incredible cultural melting pot. African, Indigenous, European traditions. They don't just sit side by side. They actively fuse.
Creating something totally new.
Exactly. Entirely new, vibrant, modern forms of music, dance, art. Think samba, capoeira, bossa nova. These aren't just blends. They're unique cultural expressions born from that hybridity, and they keep evolving. Yeah.
So if we try to tie this all together, technology seems to be a recurring theme. A huge force in all this.
It's arguably the most powerful force shaping this whole tradition-modernity relationship today. It's not just a tool. It's a catalyst, it's a preserver, and sometimes it's a disruptor.
Definitely a catalyst for change. We see social media movements all the time now.
Right. Activists using Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, platforms that barely existed a couple of decades ago, to challenge traditional norms, advocate for modern values.
Women's rights in Iran, climate action, Black Lives Matter.
Exactly. These platforms amplify voices, mobilize people globally in ways that were just impossible before.
And just the speed of information.
Instant global communication. Ideas, trends, values, they cross borders in seconds now, influencing people everywhere, sometimes challenging local traditions almost overnight.
But weirdly, it also helps preserve tradition, doesn't it?
Paradoxically, yes.
Yeah.
Hugely. Think digital archives, museums, libraries, digitizing ancient texts, art, music, making heritage accessible like never before.
Safeguarding it.
And even recreating it. Virtual reality can let you walk through ancient Pompeii or experience a traditional ceremony almost firsthand.
Wow.
And those online communities we mentioned, diaspora groups using Facebook, Zoom, whatever, to celebrate festivals together, teach language, share stories, bridging distance with digital connection.
Okay, but it's not all positive.
Yeah.
Technology as a disruptor. What are the downsides?
Well, there's a real concern about cultural erosion.
How so?
The sheer volume of global media, movies, music, trends can sometimes feel overwhelming, potentially drowning out unique local traditions, a kind of homogenization.
It can create divides too, right?
Definitely. It can worsen generational gaps.
Yeah.
Younger digital natives navigate tech effortlessly, while older generations might feel left behind, alienated.
Or the reverse.
Or the reverse, if traditions aren't seen as relevant or accessible in the digital age, younger people might feel disconnected from their roots, leading to that search for identity we talked about.
So looking ahead, crystal ball time. What does the future hold for this balance?
Well, one clear trend is the rise of hybrid identities and global citizens.
Especially younger generations.
Yeah.
Gen Z, Gen Alpha.
Exactly. They're digital natives, globally connected from birth, basically. But many are also searching for authenticity, for connection to their roots.
So they might celebrate a traditional festival and join a global climate strike.
Precisely. They inhabit multiple worlds quite naturally. We're also seeing more cultural revivals and new traditions.
Not just preserving the old, but creating new stuff.
Yeah. Language revitalization using apps is one thing, but people are also actively creating new rituals. Maybe an online book club becomes a vital community, or virtual family reunions become a cherished tradition, building new shared experiences.
Interesting. What about on a bigger scale, like ethics?
There's a growing push towards finding global ethics and shared values. As we face common challenges, climate change, pandemics, there's more effort to find common ground.
Blending old and new wisdom.
Kind of. Blending traditional virtues like compassion and community with modern values like human rights and scientific reason. A search for a shared moral compass for a complex world.
But it won't be easy.
Hmm.
There are still huge challenges ahead.
For sure. Climate change itself demands both traditional ecological knowledge and cutting-edge modern tech. We need both.
And inequality.
A massive challenge. The benefits of modernity are spread so unevenly. This risks vulnerable communities losing their traditions or being excluded from progress altogether.
And that ongoing search for identity.
That search for identity and belonging, especially as cultures continue to mix and merge, that's going to be a central theme for a long time to come, I think.
Okay, this has been incredibly insightful. Let's bring it home for you, our listener.
Yeah.
How can you personally navigate this? We've got some practical tips.
Yeah, things you can actively do.
First, stay curious. Really make an effort to learn about your own traditions. Why do they exist? How have they changed? And just as importantly, be curious about other people's traditions. Ask questions. Listen.
Second, respect differences. Everyone's balancing act is unique. It's personal. Try to be open-minded. Avoid judging how others mix tradition and modernity.
Third, create your own traditions. Seriously. Don't feel locked into only old ways. Start new rituals or celebrations that feel meaningful to you, that reflect your values and your life now.
Fourth, use technology wisely. Don't just scroll. Use those tools to connect with your heritage. Maybe learn a related skill online or share aspects of your culture. Be intentional.
Fifth, engage in dialogue. Talk about this stuff with family, friends, people in your community. Share your own experiences and really make an effort to listen to theirs.
And sixth, give back. Use what you know, your skills, to help others connect or adapt. Maybe teach a language skill, volunteer at a cultural event, support local artisans online. Contribute to that living tapestry.
So as we wrap up, maybe take a moment to reflect. We've got a few questions for you to ponder.
Yeah, just mull these over.
What traditions do you truly cherish and what makes them so important to you?
And conversely, which modern values or changes have genuinely made your life better?
How do you see tradition and modernity blending or maybe clashing right there in your own community, your own family?
Have you faced any personal challenges trying to find that balance yourself?
And looking forward, what new tradition, big or small, might you want to create for yourself, for the future?
So what does this all really boil down to? As we've hopefully shown today, this relationship between tradition and modernity.
Wow.
It's not simple. It's not black and white.
It's complex, fluid.
And deeply personal. There's no single right way to do it. It's an ongoing journey, finding what works for you.
Yeah, remember, tradition offers roots, that sense of identity, belonging, connection to something bigger. And modernity, that offers wings, freedom, choice, the power to innovate, to shape your own path.
And the real magic, I think, the real power comes when you learn to use both.
Staying grounded while reaching for the stars.
Exactly. You're not
Yeah.
just passively receiving tradition or being swept away by modernity. You are the author. You get to write your own story.
So embrace your heritage. Be open to new ideas.
And have the courage to build a life that feels authentically, vibrantly yours.
We really hope this deep dive sparks some ongoing thought for you, encourages you to keep exploring how you weave together tradition and modernity in your own unique life.
Absolutely. Keep learning, keep asking questions, keep finding that balance between your roots and all the possibilities ahead.
Thanks so much for diving deep with us today.